Welcome to Echoes Linger, our Numenera live-streamed campaign with our very special guests as players, Sean Reynolds as the Nano Chem. Hello, Sean.
Hello.
Bruce Cordell as the, you're a glaive, right? Grandpa Iron?
That's correct.
Perfect. And Monte Cook as Kalis. You're a sneaky Jack, aren't you?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But perhaps that's an unfair characterization. I apologize for my...
I prefer to think of myself as a charming Jack.
Actually. Perfect. Excellent. And I'm going to be your GM today, Darcy Ross. So I'm very excited for this episode if you're just tuning in, because there have been some Twitch events we've done to kind of crowdsource some of my GM prep, because I'm a very lazy GM, and generate some of the interesting things the players might interact with. So without further ado, let's so I've been awarding XP at the beginning of the following session, which would usually come at the end of a regular game session, but I think it's helpful when we're playing an online stream and playing every 2 weeks to sort of recap. So last time on Echoes Linger, the 4 cast-outs of Shallamas, who were implicated in the murder of a famous actor in the city of Shallamas, had trekked all the way up to Bodrov, a city north of Shallamas, to find out some more about these bracelets, these Numenera devices that they'd been shackled with, to ensure that they went and did some nebulous task for the Aeon priests there to, learn more about Numenera and think about Kalaval, the guy who started the Order of Truth long ago, and to hopefully come back to Shallamas and get let back in only if they've discovered secrets of the Numenera, maybe subtext which the Aeon priests found useful, or ostensibly for all the learning about yourselves along the way and the friends you made, etc., etc. So you've reached Bodrov. Some antics had happened. You'd sort of explored the city. Grandpa Iron ran into an old friend of his, whose name I persistently mess up, but I think it's Messaram, maybe. I'm going to go with Messaram, and not, in fact, Masamam Curry. But Messaram sort of recruited the team, this strapping group of people, to participate in this sport called Gazrava, which was having sort of a tournament in Bodrov. And so realizing that the Shin economy here is much different than it is in Shallamas, a little extra coin, a little extra jingle in their pocket would go a long way. So they participated in this sort of wild battle with their team, and they were really coming out on top. They had some good wins in this 3D adventure, but then just as they were sort of winning the battle, everything sort of went quiet in Bodrov, and everyone who Alera, Grandpa Iron, and Chem were around stopped moving suddenly. So things got really iffy. At the time, Kalis was off getting rooms set up in the sort of cheap housing deeper into the city of Bodrov. So that's sort of where we left off. We will not be having Shanna today because she, a Numenera cipher, unfortunately backfired, but we'll see what happened to her character momentarily. And did I miss anything, PCs, that you wanted to call out?
Nope, sounds good to me.
Excellent. So I'm going to award 1 XP for that Gazrava cool fight that you found. You learned a lot about what this process is. Chem actually knew that it's a sport that's based on an old training ritual for the nanos in the Aeon priesthood. So that sort of was a helpful bit of tip that you had to sort of turn the tide in your favor as a good thinking man. And then I'm also going to award 1 XP for some various bits of things you've found out about Bodrov so far. So you had found the university district, and that's where this Nano Cartographers Guild was. Your contact wasn't there, and so you've been told to come back at the 4th ringing of the bell in the morning. So you sort of vaguely know what time that is. And you met an old pal, and you kind of learned a little bit about some current news in the city. So nothing's quite paid off for your goals of either go find a useful bit of information about Calival related Numenera, or get this dang wrist bracelet off of me and out of my life. But you've got some leads, and you've got some contacts now. So excellent.
Darcy?
Yes.
Should I forego that first XP you awarded, since I'm not actually a part of the game?
Yeah, I think so for that bit. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Excellent. But that's okay, because GM intrusions, will I'm happy to GM intrude you more if you need it. So last time we were doing some subscription based interaction, and because I did some of those prep sessions, I've got a lot to work in already. So the only thing we're going to do is one of the users who I didn't get to last time. So Arnasius, we're going to draw on one of your weird decks shortly here. But why don't we pick right back up off with Chem and Grandpa Iron, who are in this sort of arena where there had been this low gravity field, sort of battle space surrounded by audience bleachers and that sort of thing. And all of your the people around you have gone stock still. So a number of them are frozen in cheers for your group, the Fistful of Shins or Team Slaughter, one of them, and so there are people excited, people looking into their empty pockets after a bad bet, and even your friend Grandpa Iron is frozen solid, who's looking super proud of you. So what do you do?
Well, since I look around quickly, try and find if there's anybody else who isn't apparently frozen in time.
Why don't you make me a roll here, just to see what you can discern. At first glance, you can't see anything moving, really.
Okay. I will also apply a level of effort to this, so that will decrease the difficulty by 1 step.
Lovely.
I only rolled a 6.
Okay, but you spent a level of effort. So you look around and you're looking, and you notice that every humanoid you can see is absolutely frozen. You do see a little bit of movement off in the distance, but you notice that it's one of these small serpentine furry creatures like Queb that have little tiger faces that are sort of found across the city of Bodrov. And so you see the movement of one of these creatures underneath the feet of some of these people, but you don't see any movement from people around.
Can I get to Grandpa Iron from where I am?
Yeah, you both are in that arena, and it's at this point that Alera, who is looking around a little alarmed, she had fallen quite a bit from being up in the air when the technology stopped working and when everybody stopped moving. She sort of cries out in pain for a moment, or in surprise, as her feet stop moving at first. And you see a little bit of her electricity powers seem to be malfunctioning. And so you see an arc of electricity going down her body toward her feet and sort of building up there. And at first her feet are stuck, and then her shins get locked into position, and then her torso, until finally she's frozen more quickly than you can even get to her. But Grandpa Iron and Chem are still freely moving.
I'll try and head over to where Grandpa Iron is.
So we've fallen. Is that true? We're back down on the ground?
Yes, you're back down on the ground.
All right. Grandpa Iron will try and grab up Alera and book out of here.
She's stuck. You can try to make a roll, but as soon as you try to pick her up, right, you notice that the top part of her body leans in a little bit, but it seems to be, she seems to be rooted to the tiles at the feet. She seems very, very locked in. And if you take a closer look, it almost looks like bits of the tile have come up around her feet, just gently, like just a hair's breadth of raised, but something has locked her in. But you're free to attempt. If you take a look, she does not appear to be breathing. Her chest doesn't move at all. Her eyes are still glassy. Nothing seems to be deteriorating about her. You can't hear a heartbeat, but it just seems.
I look at Shem and I say, "They're all dead. Let's get out of here."
I think they're just frozen, but I saw movement over there, and I'll point it where I saw those little miniature Quebs.
Excellent. The miniature Queb are up by the outside of the arena, sort of at the landing area you get when you first enter Bodrov. So to your left are the stairs down into the city where Kalis is, and around here are a couple minor shops and the arch outside of the city. So there's a couple Queb who are gliding around a little pole that has the flag of Bodrov.
Okay. I'm just going to head that way and then just looking to see if I can identify what the cause of this is or if there are any other people who are likewise not affected.
Excellent. So you're looking around and you're seeing other kinds of people who are likewise perfectly frozen in time or in body, and all their physiology seems stopped, not dead or perhaps dead, but just perfectly preserved in that moment of when they stopped. So why don't you? And so you find it seems to have affected every humanoid you're seeing. But if you want to make some kind of deeper understanding of if an investigation, I'd be happy to let you roll for that.
Okay. Does my understanding of the Numenera apply?
It does. It does.
So I am specialized.
Okay.
And I'll apply a level of effort because this is really weird. It should not be affecting the entire city. So altogether, that's 3 steps. Mm-hmm. And I roll a 17.
Wow, that's really great. Excellent. So do you take out tools? How are you investigating?
I mean, I'm a mechanical nano, so I've got like all this stuff built into me, and I've got my weird artifact helmet on, so I'm probably just like adjusting and fiddling and plugging in wires in different configurations just to try and get a better sense of what's going on around us. Fabulous.
So as you're tinkering with these, one of the plates that are at the foot of one of these people who are sort of bent over. And this is a person who has the heel of their foot was sort of raised when they were frozen. And you're able to get a better look at what's happening under the foot as as that bit of tile is raised up around their foot. And as you're tinkering, you can tell that So you can tell that there's a little bit of machinery embedded underneath every one of these tiles. And so you can tinker around a little bit, but you notice that it was, it seems to be something that latches on to something specified human. But I think some of the details that you're finding here based on other pieces of Numenera you've studied suggest that it's some kind of defense mechanism. And with so high a roll and with 3 levels of effort, you also notice another function of this part of the tile, and this whole tile will lower at some point. So whatever's been caught here will be brought underneath into the enormous plateau ancient machine facility that is Bodrov. So while they're here now, it has the capability to take them under.
Now, does this apply to people in the audience as well, or is this just people on the field?
Yeah, when you looked around, there are that has been kind of carved into the what looked like stone of Bodrov, and so that's what you've seen a lot is people have been treating this material as though it were stone. But when you saw in the bleachers the where their feet were laying, some even you see some little kids whose feet were sort of swinging above the tile, and you see that the tile has come up to grab them. So it seems to be able to extend a little farther out.
I point this out to Grandpa Iron, and I say, we can either try and free your friend, or we can scram and go find Kalis.
Grandpa Iron does not like the look of this city come alive trying to suck people down beneath it. So he points out to the fact that Alera is still here and says, well, let's free her first and then go get Kalis. Do we know where Kalis is, actually?
She's looking for housing, so we could probably there's a hotel.
She'll have to find us then, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe we can detect her telepathically.
You guys know where I went because I talked to your machine-eating friend to get a recommendation, so you know where I am.
Okay, good.
You know where I'm supposed to be.
Well, why don't you, I say to Chim, just try and free Alera, and I'll go find Kalis.
Okay.
Okay.
Excellent. Chem, you go to work tinkering with this thing. You have a better understanding about it, but we'll cut back to you in a little bit after you've had some time to work at it and get out some of your more esoteric tools. So Grandpa Iron, you head straight to the directions you'd been given by your buddy. You'd been given a vague neighborhood that it was in. It's sort of outside of the university district, so it's still in the cheaper, more maybe bohemian, young, not ritzy vacationers come to see the Empress's unused palace. So you head toward that way. It's a direction you've gone before, but it still takes you a while to get there. When you finally arrive, and as you're passing, you're passing all these little neighborhoods and these markets and stores and other facilities, and you see everyone is affected. It's hundreds and hundreds of people. It's quiet. You hear the squibbling of quebs, and you hear pets going by, but everything is just totally quiet in here. The sort of bioluminescent fungi and other lights are lit, so it doesn't seem like every bit of technology stopped. It just seems like mostly the people. So you get to the little square that the lodging has been described to you. And Kalis, do you have an interest in describing what that place looks like to me? I'd be happy to describe it for you if not.
I was thinking it was probably a pretty simple looking, almost not a flop house, but maybe just whatever the one step above a flop house is.
Right.
With the exorbitant price of, what did we say? Like 6 chins a night or something? Mm-hmm. Which is still a fortune.
Right.
But then, of course, I've already procured enough for everyone to have a room here. So.
A lot of pocket change is also inflated, so it's helpful.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes, but I imagine it just being kind of old and maybe not entirely well kept.
Right, absolutely. So you get to that square, and the little the lodging is a little dingy, but is what your friend described, Grandpa Iron. And the doors sort of left wide open. There are people, frozen in this area too. But I think you come upon Kalis. Are you still in that area? It's where you said you meet your friends.
Is it dark yet?
It is dark, but it was dark perhaps an hour and a half ago, because it was just as the sun had set that the city had changed. So
okay. Then yeah, I'm. So tell me what's my experience. Once I, let's say I procured the rooms, went out and took care of some business, and came back, and probably that's where I was when all this weird stuff happened. So
right.
what's around me, like if I'm in the lobby waiting for my friends, lobby. Right.
Absolutely. So there are the sort of square you're in has this rundown lodging. It has sort of the equivalent of a pawn shop or sort of a knick-knack, little odds and ends of the cheaper, more shady in function, like oddities and things like that nearby. Inside there is a...
Really? Well, then I'm not paying attention probably to anything else.
Excellent.
And when Grandpa Iron arrives back, I'm probably not at the lodging. I'm at that place next door, helping myself to whatever I can.
Oh, yeah. So do you want to make me a roll to find the good stuff, or?
Sure.
Or are you just Scrooge McDucking, like?
No, I'm going to be more careful than that.
Excellent.
I'm not looting. I'm procuring.
There you go.
And I roll a 19.
Oh, wow. Beautiful. So that gives you a minor effect. Excellent. So there is so much chaff here that you have to really wade through. There's a lot of little broken bits of metal or synth with some script on it, and they have tags that say, oh, this will do that, and they've got little things on pedestals, many of which and pedestal is a very strong word for this place. They have little boxes that things are raised up on to sort of sell the nicer items. You can see that one the sort of proprietor of the store is frozen in like swindling this young woman who'd come in. But what you find with the 19 is you're going to find, let's see, you're going to find a cipher, which is probably above your cipher limit at this point, since I think you were going to have to roll tomorrow anyway. It
is, but you just said that the proprietor, it looks like, is in mid swindle of this woman. So if I find a cipher, what I do is I take it and I try to put it into her bag or pocket.
That's awesome. So you find let me see. So you don't have any training with Numenera, do you?
No, in fact, I have an inability at knowledge and lore and things like that. Excellent. It's just not my thing.
Yeah. You find a pair of little spheres that that seem to go together. They seem to be drawn together. You can tell that as you're fiddling with something, this seems to really have function and seems to have some real energy to it, and clearly has some little interface on the side. Do you want to give me it's clearly valuable. If you didn't know anything more about it, you could sell it.
All I care about is, I don't think it's dangerous.
Correct.
It's not going to explode or anything? No, then I am going to give it to this person who's being swindled.
Fabulous. And you just put it in her bag?
Yep.
Okay, excellent. So the bag is a little heavier, and you notice that the bag itself is not frozen where the people are. Their belongings, things on them are not, so you're able to open that. And
well, in that case, what I'm going to do to this cheating proprietor is... does he have, among all these odds and ends, does he have anything that looks like it would make a mark? Obviously a pen would be great, but even some charcoal or something like that.
Yeah, there's a sort of a paintbrush looking hair on one end with the rod in some kind of liquid that looks opaque.
Great. Then I am going to write on his face, "Don't trust me."
Oh man, beautiful. Is this when Grandpa Iron walks in on you as he's looking? Perfect, because it's just across the way. So any movement you'd see Kalis. So you catch Kalis triumphantly or casually drawing on this guy's face.
Probably goes right. Actually, I'm probably not. I'm not doing. This isn't a practical joke, so I'm not laughing.
Cool.
I'm serious.
Excellent.
I walk in and I say, "They're all dead. We got to get out of here."
They're dead? And I kind of poke the guy whose face I'm drawing on.
Well, they're not breathing. And
I just
Jim says they're going to all be sucked into the city. He's trying to he's trying to free Alera right now.
Well, I look at the guy and I say, "Oh, then I feel kind of bad."
Excellent.
But Chem and Alera are okay?
Well, Chem is. Alera's stuck like the rest of these. He's trying to free her right now.
Well, he's the smartest person I know, I say. Exactly like that. And say, well, if he can't figure it out, I can't do anything. I don't know anything about this kind of thing.
Let's smash cut back to the smartest person in the world, Chem. Do you want to? What's your plan here?
Well, I've got a set of light tools, so I'm thinking I could poke at it, prod at it, whatever these connections are. I'm trying to disable them, cut them, whatever, just to set her free.
Excellent. I'm going to have you make a roll, but you've got some assets to it because you understand a bit more. You made a good roll, sort of understanding what the function of this thing is.
All right. I'm going to apply a level of effort.
Beautiful.
And I roll a 16, and that's with a 1 level of effort and 2 steps from being specialized in.
Excellent. You as you're taking little snips at it and pulling out small rods, and there's a little pneumatic piston sort of in there, and you kind of disable that. You narrowly a couple times. This thing has a lot of little defenses built in. You're sort of every once in a while you have to dodge as a hook sort of comes out at you. It seems to whatever this thing is, it really it is very resistant to being taken apart. It looks like it's got sort of plans in place for trying to disable it. But it's a really clever mechanism, but you are cleverer and you have the right tools and the knowledge. And so you're able to finally, there's a little pressure plate deep inside, and you're able to fish a long thin rod in and touch it just so. And it really, you've identified that as an important nexus for where all these connections are. And it sort of drops the energy holding that, holding Alera's foot in place, and you are able to, she starts wobbling as she's still fairly frozen, but you catch her and she like blinks her eyes open and she's starting to slowly be able to move again. But you see that she's sort of passed out. She seems to come to, she's breathing, takes a big deep breath, but is not 100% yet.
All right. Well, I will pick her up and start making my way to the exit. And as we walk out, I'll just tell her, lucky I'm such a genius.
Excellent. All right. So you're catching up with Kalis and Grandpa Iron. Anything you're doing before Chem gets there, settling into your rooms?
No, I don't. So I'll say to Grandpa Iron, so we heard that this happened once before, right? That everyone here in the city lost time or something. That's what that woman who's like standing on that pedestal was talking about yesterday.
Okay. I just thought they all died.
No, I think that this is that, which suggests that this has happened before. So wherever if they get taken like down into the ground or something, it must spit them back up again.
Very interesting. Maybe we should follow one down and see where they go.
Why?
This whole city must be some sort of huge mechanism. I've never heard of such a thing.
Me neither, but that doesn't mean I want to go down there.
Grandpa Iron's old adventuring days.
Sometimes you can find wondrous things where you least expect them.
With everyone frozen up here, we can find some pretty wondrous things just laying around.
Well, you have a point.
And if they get taken down into the ground for a little while, it's even easier.
So I'm going to offer a little GM intrusion to my friend Chem over there, who is valiantly carrying Alera toward the lodging. So you're getting really close to that square where you know you're supposed to meet up your friends. They were given landmarks, and Alera is just getting heavier and heavier the longer you walk. Carrying a person and supporting them is hard work. And you're making a lot of noise, you notice, because her boots are sort of dragging, and you're kind of clomping along in this otherwise really, really quiet area. Every boot fall echoes across these quiet buildings. And you hear a skittering behind you. And so the two of you, Kalis and Grandpa Iron, hear a clatter as a creature of some sort peels and bursts through one of those tiles that make up the thoroughfares here, breaking lots of that machinery that you had just carefully spent a lot of time disabling. And you see all these hooks and things come out at it, but it just muscles that aside. And you can see this horrible creature, which I did not load the art, but it's I'll let you roll and see if you figure it out. But it is a face full of teeth and a couple of beautiful tentacles and an arm coming off of it. This slimy, large, maybe 8 foot tall creature starts pulling itself up through it and hissing.
This is a GM intrusion?
This is.
So I am like really close to the limit of how much XP I can have right now. So can I just spend 1 XP and say, get out of here?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can pay me an XP. And so, tell me how you handily resolve the situation.
So as this thing just comes like crawling out of the ground, I just lean over it and be like, I don't have time to deal with you right now. Get out of here.
You hear a telepathic, a little voice, a little sound in your mind as, and do you have sort of telepathic abilities, right? I'm thinking the GM intrusion. So this is a telepathic communicating creature. So the force of your emphatic statement sort of resonates also telepathically, and it wants nothing to do with that. So it starts. Do you think you scare it down below, or do you think you? Excellent.
It probably was halfway out, so it probably just said, okay.
So you, Kalis and Grandpa Iron, you might come out just as it is using its long tentacles to sort of painfully like bounce back that tile to sort of even it out. Excellent. So it shuts itself down, and there's just the tip of the tentacle that slurps down underneath right at the end. And so it looks a little banged up, that tile, but otherwise is you can hear the sound of it sort of banging against what sound like pipes or other echoey contraptions down below. All right, Kalis and Grandpa Iron, welcome.
So we can see Chem and Alera.
Chem and Alera, and you saw the tail end of, if you stepped out to investigate the noise, saw the tail end of this creature pulling itself down below again.
I point to going down below and I say, "Look, there's space beneath the city."
Is she all right?
She seems to be kind of passed out from whatever that effect was, but I think she's okay.
Grandpa Iron seems to think that all these people are dead.
They're not dead. I think they're just in stasis.
Is that a fancy word for dead?
No, it's like they're held sleeping by the Numenera, Grandpa Iron.
And it's at that moment, perhaps just as you finish hearing the echoes of that creature going down below, that you start hearing a lot of noise build up in the city. There's a lot of creaking and groaning and cogs turning and just sounds sort of echoing in this vast cavern that the city of Bodrov is built in. And you notice that everyone standing in the square, the person in the store who you can see through the window, are being pulled underneath as segments of these tiles are drawn back, and they're being pulled down into some sort of cavity. Boop. What are you doing?
This is pretty awful.
Yeah, it's like a horrible nightmare.
Watching these people go down. Why weren't we affected? Just because we're not from here?
I'm sure we could figure out if we stuck around, but maybe sticking around is not the best plan.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
So much for
Bodrov. I think you're probably right. I mean, maybe we should just get out of the city. Darcy, I'm imagining that when you describe this part of town, it does not sound like the part of town that's on the edge of town. It sounds like the part of town that's in the middle.
It's rather inside, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
like when these people are pulled down, is there an opening left in the ground that we could get into?
At least initially, while they're coming down, yeah, it's like these tiles are being drawn back, sort of flipped back, so you can see that there's space and machinery. And you catch one that as it's, and they're sort of cascading. It's not all going at once. There's this group is sort of going down, and then that group over there. There's space underneath.
But do these openings remain open, or do they start to close up?
They start to close up afterwards.
So I'll turn to Grandpa Iron and say, do you still want to go down there?
Nope. It's like a death trap.
Excellent.
I don't want to go into stasis. No, let's
pack your bags.
Points to the exit and say, let's get the Krail out of here.
Yeah. So if there's anything, like if I put stuff in my room or anything, I'll run back and get it. But otherwise, I'm with you. Let's get out of here.
Excellent. So you pack your bags, you start heading toward the exit, and at least one of you notice, I'm not sure who has the best eyesight, but that Queen Armalu's palace over at the sort of in the nicer district of town, which isn't too far away from you, but is still like far from the entrance, but maybe a good bit away, is raised, and you can see that there are figures moving across the windows that are lit. So this is the only sort of figure movement you've seen in the entire city, but it's in the what is usually heavily fortified, protected, guarded palace of the queen, who's never there. So whether that's enticing to you or more frightening to you is up to you.
So we approached Bodrov from which direction? Kind of south? Okay.
Southeast.
If we were to continue northward on the path of Calaval, would that take us past this palace or in a different direction?
Yeah, so you would go back outside of the cavern, and so you would be you'd probably be following a path that's on its eastward side, but you wouldn't be going anywhere near this palace because it's all underneath. You'd get back outside of the cavern, and then there's some rumors of some places that Calaval had visited along the way to the Amber Monolith. As you go north and east is sort of the path. So you would,
sure
you can.
The palace have this all taken care of, so we could just get out of here.
Yeah, in my experience, the upper class people always have lots and lots of concern for all the populace of a city.
Well, if there are no peasants around to bring them food and things, then they'll do something about it.
All right, you continue.
Well, I don't think there's anything I can do about all this. This is way bigger than me, so I'm happy to just get out of the city.
Excellent.
It's too bad. I kind of liked it here.
It wasn't bad. What are you going to do about sleep? This sounds like you want to get out before even considering sleep, but you had a full day there. So, where are you looking to? Are you going to just try to catch some sleep right outside of the city, or are you going to get as far away as your bodies will take you?
Go a few hours, I would say, or at least an hour.
I can't imagine a place I'd rather sleep less than on one of these tiles.
Excellent. It takes you, quite a bit to weave out all the way outside of the city, which is quiet. You occasionally hear little skittering noises, and you see, they're like. There are animals who are sort of pets or protectors or who knows what, and you see them moving around with new freedom in the city, and that doesn't bring you any comfort either. So as you step back up into the star-strewn sky of Bodrov upstairs, still with everybody very much frozen in place, you're able to leave through the archway with all the colored flags and just start hiking. So how are we handling Alera? Are you sort of she's mostly out of it. She can sort of help stand, but she's really not waking up all the way, and you can see that parts of her still sort of freeze up. So her foot will kind of freeze, or her arm will kind of freeze. So she's not, I'm totally conked out, but she's having a lot of difficulty walking. So it's not like you need to fireman carry her, but you need to support her a lot. So what's your plan there?
I think Grandpa Iron is the strongest one of us. So
Grandpa Iron can put his mechanical arms in sort of the locked fireman position, and
there you go.
He can apply some might to the situation as necessary.
Yeah, why don't we? I think like how well this goes will be a helpful determinant of how far you're able to get away in the city. Right, is how much you're able to help your the weakest member of your party at the moment. So why don't you give me a might roll?
All right, I apply a level of effort.
Lovely.
And I'm trained in breaking things. Okay, no. I will not break this. I will just carry and roll an 11. Reduce the difficulty by 1 step.
Okay, excellent. So you guys are able to get, this is not especially difficult terrain. And yeah, you're trying to get far, but are you trying to go back in the direction of Shallamas, which has that tricky cliff side that you had to navigate, where you saw the Iron Wind-like storm situation happening? So that was pretty dangerous. Or are you just going along the sort of trade route path, pilgrim's path toward the Amber Monolith?
In all this excitement of the city coming alive and trying to suck down all its inhabitants, Grandpa Iron kind of lost sight of the whole thing. Why we had these bracelets on. The Aeon priests want us to go out and find something.
Secrets of Calaval.
He's forgetful. So Grandpa Iron says, "Where are we going?" He's strong.
I think we have to keep. I don't think we want to go back the way we were. As much as I'd like to go back to our city, they're not going to let us back in.
Yeah, we got to keep taking the path towards the Amber Monolith, following the path of the first Amber Pope, Calaval. So onward.
All right,
after sleeping.
Yeah, you head north for a while. I'm thinking you are probably able to get maybe 2 hours into the night. It is pitch dark now. It's getting cold. It's getting pretty inhospitable. And you pass some small. You start to about an hour and a half off. You had just been passing a little bit of farmland and some isolated, like a single little home or a single place. But you seem to come upon a little village or aldea that has some windows lit and seems to have enough houses that there might be some travelers housing, especially since this is on a well-traveled path. It's probably about midnight. It's not a great time. Do you want to camp like near here, or do you want to go into town?
My pockets are still full of jingle, so I'm happy to see if there is a place. Or, I'd rather sleep in a barn than just out in the middle of nowhere.
Agreed.
Blank heels.
All right, you head into the center of this little collection of buildings. There is the 1-2-story building has a really beautiful smooth arch over a 2-door entrance, and it's got a hanging sign, and it's got some carvings of seskies and other beasts that are friendly to humans, and it's got chat. What is the name of this little way station? Because I think chat would be a great group to except for Shippy McShipface. It's usually pretty great. So there is a glow globe up above the like up where the sign is sort of hanging from, and here is where I am pulling from the lovely Arnasius. They had subbed last week when we were doing a sub gets you a weird draw, and so the glow globe is casting shadows that don't quite seem to fit what's below it. It otherwise looks inviting, but there's something a little funky going on with the shadows in this glow globe. You see the shadow of a little animal that doesn't seem to be there, and you notice your own shadows are a little disjointed from what you're doing. So it's a little curious.
I'm going to take an extra half beat to really examine my own shadow and see if it looks weird in a particular way to me. As
you experiment with it a little bit, you notice that it seems like it is almost like temporally different, right? So you're sitting and you're watching, and you notice that little creature shadow that moved, you notice a creature pass with no shadow a little bit afterwards. And it seems to be off by maybe 20 seconds or so, but it has a little bit of lag and distortion. So sometimes it's, you move and sometimes you see the shadow and even as you're trying to engineer it, it seems to slip around and be a little slippery, but it's just a minor time related distortion with the shadows.
I've seen this happen before with glow globes in the Numenera. It's a common side effect, actually. I'd explain it to you, but you probably aren't smart enough to get the actual science of it.
I'm no longer interested in it.
Excellent. The place has the light on inside, and it's warm and inviting. So when you go to check it out, there is a man who's got just a big sweater on, and just you want to hug him. He's just a real sweet looking guy, and he's sort of asleep in an armchair behind a little counter, and he's got a little like pet in his lap, some sort of furry creature with big ears. And as soon as you walk in, there's a little bell that rings, and he startles awake. Yeah, what do you say? Welcome. I'm trying to see if chat came up with a good name for the place. I don't know if they did. Oh no, that's okay.
Hador up there.
Yeah, Hador. All right. Welcome to Hador. We're happy to house you tonight. And he rubs sleep out of his eyes. Are you looking for rooms, I assume?
Yes, please. And I'll, I will like produce not a Bodrov amount of shins, but more like what I am used to, maybe like 3 shins, and hold those out.
Excellent. His eyes go a little wide in almost surprise of it being too much. And he says, well, I'm not here to rob you blind like those city slickers over there. I'm happy to provide some rooms. Perhaps do you want one for the three of you? We have some larger spaces with little traveler's beds. If you want a shin each, we'll get you the communal space, or 2 shins will get you 2 rooms with individual beds.
I'll add 1 more shin.
Okay.
So there's 1 each.
All right. Perfect.
And look at you guys.
Yeah. Well, plus Alera, right? So.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what I mean.
Gotcha.
If I add 1 more, that's 4.
He does ask, that woman, is she all right? Does she need healing? Does she need, what's happened?
I think she just needs to sleep it off. She was hit by a Numenera effect.
Grandpa Iron points back the way he came and says, something funny about Bodrov.
Something funny is always about that city.
She kicked me under the table.
No, I just make a face like, I didn't think we were going to bring that up.
Oh, okay. We did. Grandpa Iron's guileless.
I understand. Kalis is guileful.
Lovely. He says, that city, it's a strange place. I'm glad you're out of it. Are you travelers? Where are you coming from? If not,
Shallamas.
All right.
We're on the Calavol's Walk, I'm afraid.
Pilgrims. And he says, oh, great. We have many charms. You'll definitely want to visit and get a blessing from our lady in the morning. And he's got all sorts of stuff to sell you, but he looks immediately at Kalis's face.
But we're very tired. It's late. Maybe we should go to our room.
Excellent. He says, oh, of course. I hope to see you for breakfast, but I'll let you sleep in. And he shows you to your, did you get 3 rooms No,
I thought we got one. I thought we got 1 room together.
Okay. Yes. You get 1 room together then, for 3 shins, right?
Yeah. Well, you said 1 each, so I figured it was 4, but whatever you say. If he wants 3, that's great too.
Yeah. I think he only wants 3. There's sort of a big bedroom, for, a family or something. And he gives it to you for 3.
But there's nobody else in there, right? It's just us.
This is not shared space.
Great.
Excellent. The space is so much nicer than what you're going to get in Bodrov. It is, just comfortable and lots of there's some animal furs up at the bed from local long-haired Gallon, and it's just a lovely little pointed place. So you're able to let me know if there's anything you want to do, but otherwise this is a place to have a lovely sleep in.
I think I'm just going to enjoy that there are no telepathic beasts underground coming to get us.
I'd like to do what I can to make Alera comfortable and then go to sleep.
Excellent. Yep. You're able to, it seems like the further you've gotten from Bodrov, like those fits she was having of freezing up are really calming down. And so she seems to just be like tired right now and is just dead weight in terms of just trying to sleep. So you get her into a comfortable position. She doesn't seem to be spasming or anything, and she's able to sleep through the night quite well. All right. You wake to a lovely, sun streaming in through the windows. There's the smell of baked goods and other cooking downstairs, and that's lovely. So do you mess around at all in this little town, or do you just sneak out and head out straight out?
I kind of like it here.
Yeah. Well, let's see if you like it after you make a cipher overburdened roll. So right. I believe it's a percentile.
Okay.
You like it here. Are you going to be the one to bring trouble to this town, Kalis?
Oh, I don't think this is good. Percentile, I roll a 19.
Excellent. I don't know if it's excellent.
I don't remember now if that table is bad if you go high or bad if you go low.
We're about to find out. Okay, you rolled a 19. Nothing happens.
Yeah, I think it's, okay.
I think it's additive because you have 4 ciphers or 3. How many do you have?
I have 3 ciphers and an artifact.
Okay, and your limit is 2, right?
Right.
Cool. All right. Nothing happens today. I'm wondering, maybe as you're waking and stirring and getting all your things together, you hear a little buzz from one of them that doesn't sound very good, and you kind of move it to the other side of your pocket, and it's fine. This is fine. Cool. So what are you doing today, guys?
We eat and move to the next step of Calivol's walk, because we've got these things on our wrists that are counting down to our deaths, I assume.
So about that, we did have that person in Bodrov that we we're going to go talk to about all of this, and now we can't do that. So now we're just stuck on this stupid walk. Just pretend for a second that when the Aeon priests were explaining about everything they wanted us to do, just pretend that I wasn't paying attention and explain exactly what it is that we're just supposed to just walk and go these places, and if we don't, these things on our wrists are going to punish us.
Yeah, I mean, they're linked to our life force somehow, and I think they want us to do this and come back with some more news and information about the Numenera, at which point they will deactivate them. But if we find a way to deactivate them ahead of time, I think that would be okay. And
are we under a time, this is a nice place. I kind of like this old guy in the sweater. Can we hang out here a little while and just enjoy the country?
Darcy, there was some sort of timed effect on it, but it wasn't like counting down in 3 days. It just was, we could tell that it was speeding up.
Yeah, you could tell there was some kind of timer, but you didn't get a good sense of how long.
Or maybe I should ask you a different question, Mr. Smartest Man in the World. What is down the road? There'll be another town? I really don't like the idea of just being stuck out in the middle of nowhere at night. That's not a good idea.
Let's ask the innkeeper.
Yeah, are you discussing this over breakfast or? Yeah. Then there are other pilgrims here actually talking, and there's a couple people who seem to be townsfolk who come in, and they know everybody here and sit down for breakfast. So as soon as someone hears that you're kind of talking about the road, there's a number of people clamoring to give you hot tips of the best places to stay on the road and the most exciting places to go see of like miracles of Calival. Well, you'll definitely want to go to the three-spined, the thrum of the three spines. You definitely want to hit that one. It's on the way to the Amber monolith, and it's just, you'll be telling your kids about it for years to come. So there's the thrum of the three spine, and they, sort of overload you with many places along the path. Is there something you're looking for, or?
I think right now we're just looking like if we travel for 1 day, is there another town that we could stop at so we wouldn't be camping on the road?
So as you get closer to that Amber monolith, there are you're going to hit a little bit of a dead zone after you leave this village, where there's the next village is going to be maybe kind of a 2-day journey, but there's like a well-marked unmanned little clearing where people have pitched tents and things, and the caravans usually stop there and make a whole to-do of it. But they go the opposite way, so they're coming. They're heading the opposite direction of you on the current path.
Well, now that we have been able to sleep overnight, my super intelligent thinking brain has been able to process some stuff in the background, and the fact that we found somebody in Bodrov who thought they might be able to remove these wristbands from us, it's got me thinking. I have a metal death cipher, and I'm wondering if I could use this to destroy our 4 little wristbands and just free us from this ridiculous crail that the Aeon priests of our hometown have slapped on us.
I think that Alera actually somehow determined when we were studying these the first time that even there's something about even destroying the bracelets or even cutting off our hands or anything like that wouldn't actually save us.
They've already infused us with some sort of particles, tiny little particles.
Right.
Smart particles of some sort.
Thinking harder. do I think, with what I know about the Numenera and this very powerful cipher that I have, do I think that I could
can you
get
tell me
this
the
done?
specifics of the cipher as you know them? Smartest man in the world.
It is a metal death cipher. It's a little wrist-mounted sprayer, and I can use it to make a stream of foam that covers an area about 3 feet by 3 feet, and it'll just destroy any metal in there. It turns it into something as brittle as glass. We can just shatter it.
Grandpa Iron says,
we just put like a leather coating. I'm covered in metal parts too, Grandpa Iron.
Just right there in the name.
Calm down.
Death to Grandpa Iron, you might as well be saying.
Have more potatoes. It's okay. You just let me finish explaining. Have your tater tots. It's good. This is breakfast. We can take precautions so it doesn't just melt your arm off. But this is a level 8 cipher, so I'm thinking it might do the trick.
Yeah, so what Alera had found, and I'm thinking she's awake, but she's still like kind of just laying in bed right now. She's just her whole body is weak, and she's sort of mumbly. You're having trouble. She's awake, and she has some moments of clarity. But yeah, I think you brought her up some muffins, but otherwise she just is pretty out of it still. Although is not having any of those spasms, so is looking better. But what she had discovered last time was that even if you slipped the bracelet off, something about it was tuned to you. So if you were able to destroy that thing, you, Chem, think based on what she's told you and what you know of the Metal Death Cipher, if you were able to obliterate it really, really quickly, like instantly, maybe you'd be okay. You think if you were slowly eating through it, it might, since it's hooked up to you, it may have defenses against that, or may otherwise, if it's causing it to malfunction, that could have bad repercussions for you. So while it is absolutely a good enough cipher, you'd really want the right situation to make it act quickly, and not act quickly or act precisely, right? So you might want to spend a little more time with it to know. I don't know. It's a little tricky. So you don't think it's as easy a job as could be done right here on this breakfast table, say. But
I think it
might be worth investigating
for other technology that I could use in conjunction with this.
I have a phase shifter that can put me out of phase.
Pretty cool.
So you could do the metal death on mine, and then I could go out of phase at the exact same time just to make sure that it doesn't affect me or go with me or whatever. But that would only help me and not the rest of you.
It's true.
Do you have any useful Numenera, Grandpa Iron, that might apply to this?
No, I used my one cipher.
I do have a cipher, but he'll have to try and remember what it does.
Grandpa, are you down a cipher?
Yep.
Oh, well, then I reach into my bag and I pull out the force shield projector, and I say, here you go.
Oh, thank you. How's it work? And he'll tell me, and I'll say, all right, sounds good.
Is it hot to the touch?
Yeah, it's buzzing a little bit in a weird way, but
I'm ready to blow up.
Yeah.
Hey, take this. It's a present.
No, Chem will tell you it's fine.
Yeah, it happens sometimes, Grandpa Iron.
I had too many.
I understand. I've seen it happen before.
Excellent.
Wasn't pretty. Twerked pretty.
So some of the advice you get, as you guys are sort of huddling up and talking about these ciphers, you do hear that there are very powerful nanos who are around the Amber Monolith, of course, and they give you sort of the three leads that I guess stick out in your mind as of vague interest, where either maybe of use to you or just generally seem more legit than some nonsense series of words. Is there are the Eyes of Time. There's the Shrine of the Eyes of Time, which theoretically, if you visit it, it will let you see into the past. So people who want to go look into the past, Kalaval apparently discovered something about that to make that functional. So there's the Shrine of the Eyes of Time. There is the Thrum of the Three Spines, which has apparently creatures from other worlds that seem to be benevolent and occasionally bestow gifts on people who visit them. And the third one is just one that gets mentioned a lot and might be really important to the ant priests, and that is Kalaval's home where he grew up. At least that's what they say. So the home, the Kalaval's house, basically. So those are the three things you get. But if you've got a plan to get out of these wrist bracelets, that could solve your problem before you even have to bother with any of these ant priest nonsense. So.
Well, if there are powerful nanos by the Amber Monolith, maybe we can combine these two plans and just go straight to the Amber Monolith.
And any secrets you find there, you could keep if you get the wrists off you.
Sorry.
The thrum of the three spines is closest. Kalaval's house. Sorry.
I apologize. It must be the network making us talk over each other. But Grandpa Iron is going to say that to you three. Oh, the thrums of the spines of time, benevolent creatures giving gifts. Doesn't sound terrible. If true.
Yeah, let's give that a shot. And I think between those creatures and our knowledge and our ciphers and stuff, we should be able to get ourselves out of this. I also have a data sphere siphon. It's not particularly powerful, but I might be able to use it to give advice on the best way to use the metal death on breaking these. If you're up for giving that a shot this morning, I could do that.
I don't understand what you're doing. You do what you need to do.
All right. Well, after breakfast, we should probably head not upstairs, just because I don't want to melt a hole in the floor or anything like that, but maybe just find like a field outside of town.
What are you going to do?
Well, it's metal death. It's going to dissolve stuff. I don't want it to, dissolve the floor. And
I thought you were just going to commune with some spirits or something.
Well, step one is that. Step two is getting the job done.
All right.
Perfect. Why don't we give us a 5-minute break here for getting more water and everything as we cliffhang to see how this perfectly well thought out plan goes. I'm very excited. So we will be back in just a little 5 minutes, everybody. So if you can stick around, that would be great. And we will see you very, very soon. Welcome back, everybody, to Echo's Linger. We are having a fun adventure, currently running away from the horrible Numenera-driven chaos that is happening in Bodrov right now, where people were getting frozen and then drawn into the very bones of the city. And our lovely crew here, our lovely cast-outs, wisely extricated themselves from that madness and are now currently having breakfast and planning over in a nice, less chaotic village on the way to the Amber Monolith. So there is a plan being hatched right now. Chem, do you want to tell us your bright plan?
So I'm incredibly smart.
Yes.
And I have a cipher that can...
That's step one.
Step one. Super genius. Done. Step one is done. It's almost step zero, because why would you have a plan with an idiot? Step two is I have this metal death cipher. Step three,
yes,
we have a data sphere siphon cipher that'll help pick out the best way to use these things, perhaps in conjunction with Kalish's phase cipher. So I want to use the data sphere siphon to figure out the best way to answer the question of how can we use these two ciphers together to destroy these bracelets without causing us any harm.
Ooh, very good. Okay. So, and you explicitly want to ask it how you can use it to destroy all of them at once, or because, you think that the logistics for one person going out of phase, because that's what that one cipher does, are pretty reasonable, but it's getting all of you working together. Are you trying to kind of cobble something together here? Is that what you're asking?
Let's just scale it down a bit and focus on getting one person freed out of this.
Okay.
Once we've done that, then we can extrapolate that and use more ciphers in the future. to continue to repeat the process.
Okay, smartest person that I know. How is getting one person out going to actually help the other three? If we're using one-use ciphers?
Let me put it this way. We're always going to find more ciphers. And Kalis, this is your phasing cipher, so I was thinking we would use it to free you first. Because I think the odds are better of focusing on breaking one of these things than to try and do all four of them. I'd much rather have a nearly guaranteed success on one than a fractional success on all four of those.
Okay.
Especially we have special considerations for Grandpa Iron because of his metal components. And
well, I'm happy to let you know what all of my Numenera resources are. If you want, when you talk to the spirits or whatever it is that you do, if you want to, have all of that, so I tell you that not only do I have a phase shifter, I have an image changer. Doesn't really seem like it's going to help much. And then I have that remote hand thing, where I basically a remote control hand.
I will factor that in to my question. Perhaps there is some hidden aspect of these bits of the Numenera, which, when combined together, will have a more effective use for what we're doing.
And the force screen. Don't forget the force screen.
And the force screen. That's right.
It could help.
Yeah.
Or there could be, well, I don't know anything about the Numenera. Yeah, that could help.
It might be that, using the phase shifter would get one person out, and using the force screen would help another person, so you might be able to get two people out.
Excellent. So how do you commune with this data sphere siphon? How do you commune with those nano spirits? Where do you go?
Well, I'm a mechanical nano.
Right.
And so I've got ports and plugs, and I'm just probably got to unplug some of my little natural things and plug into my head and connect them to this little device. And then I'm, adjusting things on a panel and twisting around and holding it at just the right angle to, get the sunlight to hit it just right. And it's just going to telepathically think at it, and it'll download the right answer into my head. Perfect.
Are you doing this over the breakfast table? Sounds like you could.
It might be a little distracting with all the other people here. How about we go up to our room where it's quieter?
All right, so you're plugging ports and tinkering with things as you're getting this data sphere siphon hooked up to you, and why don't you? And it starts to vibrate and it starts to swirl. You can see that there's an outer casing that's sort of transparent, and the inner sphere and bits are whirling around wildly as you're powering it up. So, what is your question?
The question is, how can we best use
that list
of things to safely destroy and disengage these sort of tracking bracelets that we have on?
Right. Excellent. So you get an answer that one person phasing. So you want to use the metal death cipher once. And so I think how this gets relayed to you is through mental images. Since you have a really robust telepathic capacity, you sort of let it flow through you. And so you're getting these flashes of possibilities. And so and you're getting different steps that you're able to infer after as you're getting just wild data sets downloaded to your brain really quickly from the data sphere. So I think Kalis and Grandpa Iron, you maybe see Chem's eyes going glassy and looking around at nothing as you're experiencing all of this really quickly. So a person phasing out would keep them briefly safe from the sort of area effect of this metal death cipher. So that's an answer. Grandpa Iron can unscrew his hand and can take the bracelet off, and so can keep it away from his body so that if you're able to kill it quickly enough with that metal death cipher, he will be okay. But
without a hand, right? Sorry.
Pardon?
Minus one hand.
Minus one hand. You could screw it back on, I think, because it will come off because it's a wrist bracelet, but it's not totally stuck onto your skin. So you can take it off. It's just you didn't do
I thought
so.
My hand was made of iron, so it might.
Oh, maybe. You can tell me what happens in the hand. But if you're able to get it off your body, which it sounds like you have the best chance of doing so safely, then that would be okay. And the force shield projector is, you're getting you don't quite have enough resources to have a high probability of success at, aiming it just so that it's really keeping the foam of the metal death cipher away. You'd either need a little tweaking, or you'd need just to really work at it to kind of manually adjust the angles to keep that foam from getting onto the actual skin of a person. So that one is less useful. But you think you have 2 pretty good chances, if Grandpa Iron is able to get that bracelet off, of getting both of those in the same go with the metal death cipher.
All right. So I'll digest that into language that my friends can understand. I think I can get Grandpa Iron's and Kalis's wristbands destroyed safely, and we have to do this and this and this and this. So we'll just figure out mine and Alera's later, but we can get the 2 of you free.
Well, if you guarantee me that my metal hand will not be destroyed in this process, then that sounds good to me. But I don't understand how that will work. But I'm a grandpa.
I actually am going to say that I don't think that that's a good plan. I think that the metal death, you can produce enough of this metal destroying foam to destroy all of them, right? If we've got 2 or maybe 2.5 of us covered, why don't we go and try to find some more Numenera that will be of use, so that we can get us to the point where we all can get free, as opposed to just half of us.
Well, I don't think this is the end. I mean, if we can get the 2 of you free now, that's great. And then when we find more Numenera, we can get the other 2 of us free. I would much rather have some of us free than have all of us wait.
I have grown very fond of the 3 of you, and I have no intention of just leaving if this bracelet's destroyed. So I'm stuck here on this stupid walk either way. It seems like we have the thing that will destroy it. We just have to find the thing that will keep us okay. And we have some of that. We just have to find more. It would be a shame if we used the metal death cipher and then never found any more of that.
Well, that's very selfless of you, Kalis. I appreciate that.
Grandpa Iron, what do you think?
Grandpa Iron is a little nervous about the whole procedure. So he looks at Kalis and goes,
Yeah, what she said.
All right, well, I guess we'll hold off on doing this.
All right. So you see Alera's eyes sort of flicker open and looks a little relieved. Just the anxiety of the room of a big, scary metal death cipher. Whatever she might have thought if she was a little clearer headed. It's a relief to know that no one is dying from that today.
But I think that this should be our new goal. Find. If you figured out what steps 1, 2, and 3 are, I think we need to figure out what step 4 is.
All right.
Excellent. All right. So do you head north to, that the path north, if you think you'll be looking with this new goal in mind. Yeah. Do you want to tell me where you want to go? Do you want to use the path that's ahead of you to sort of try to find those ciphers? Do you have any alternative ideas?
I think talking to those strange creatures at the thrum of the 3 spires, that might be our best bet. And it's also the closest on our path, right?
Mm-hmm. It's about a day and a half away. So it's people usually rest at that clearing and then get to it the next day.
Is it the 3 spires or the 3 spines?
Spines. The thrum of the 3 spines.
Cool.
All right. Anything else you need? Or are you getting on the road? Muted?
Sorry. Do I have time between all of this? Could I have spent 4 XP to have a character advancement?
That sounds pretty lovely. Yeah, I think so. There's been downtime. You have your books with you if you're sort of working on nano things, or I think you have time. Mm-hmm. Especially if you wanted to take the day in town, which might be good for Alera too, right?
Yeah, if the other two people are fine with that, that sounds great to me.
If that's the case, then Grandpa Iron will also take an advancement as well, because he's got 4 XP saved up.
Great.
Then I will increase my effort by 1, so I can better apply my incredible genius to whatever I want to do.
That might come in handy with your grand plans coming up here.
I'm going to also take an advancement, but my advancement is I'm going to add some more points to my pool, I think. Pools.
Cool. Yay. 4 XP. Big money. What about Grandpa Iron? What are you doing?
Oh, now he has to make a decision. Yeah, effort. He's going to increase his ability to increase his effort to 2 rather than just...
Excellent. You all feel really well rested after this town. And you've gotten a lot of, just hanging around here today. I think you probably have even more knowledge about the path that you're about to go on. So as you go closer, you can ask me about rumors you might have heard about specific things, or, you're a little better equipped to have caught something useful on your way. Cool. So functionally, I'm giving you an asset towards investigation along this path.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. Yeah, rest up.
All right. So you're going to spend the night there and then go in the morning?
Yes. Late that evening, I'm going to go for a walk for a while, but I'll be back.
Excellent. It's a lovely night. There's lots of there's a stream nearby, and there's people hang out in that the sort of tavern you found yourself in at night and kind of talk. So while Grandpa Iron and Chem are either studying or working on their effort, you're able to have a lovely walk. And Alera's feeling better, and so she's actually going to be better off to walk with unimpeded. So you think tomorrow you'll be able to get there quite nicely. To like kind of even early if you at your usual pace to get to that clearing. So you can either take your time on the way or just have extra time, or possibly get, maybe late into the night if you just wanted to push through all the way to the Thrum of the Three Spine. It would leave you a little tired, but it's doable now. All right. So unless you tell me anything else, the next morning comes and you are ready to go along your way. Excellent. Is there anything specific you're doing that you're looking out for, or are you just trekking?
Any interesting bits of Numenera that might apply to our situation? I'll keep an eye out for that, but I don't necessarily expect to find it lying on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. So you find as you're walking this path, again, it's fairly flat. It's fairly well traveled because this is a big caravan site. As you're getting nearer the Ember Monolith, you pass a couple of travelers along the way. There's a couple has some hiking sticks, and they've got a big Seski who's panting and looking, a little on the fearsome end of Seskis. So they seem to be, usually you don't see such few people wandering around when there's no village very close or city. But these people look like they're sort of well equipped, and they've got, one's got a big bow of some sort on the back, and there's this intense looking large Seski. So they pass you and wave. So there's a couple people to talk to. This is not uninhabited. Nobody's like passing you from behind. So let me know, do you want to talk to the people as they're passing you, or are you just doggedly trying to get to the Thrum of the Three Spines?
Well, be friendly. Say hello.
Excellent. They wave. It's 2 men, and they say, are you going to see the Amber Monolith? As they're sort of walking and talking. It's quite a sight, says the other one.
I just nod. Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. They say they give you the wave and keep on like aggressively hike walking back the way you came. So about early in the afternoon, the sun is just sort of past its zenith. You find that big clearing that you'd been told about, and it's kind of abutted by some stone and then a bit of synth from some old, maybe building or structure. But it's got this very cleared drit in front of it, and it's got some, kind of it just built up with the rock outcroppings to keep it from protected from the wind and everything. And there's a couple trees nearby. There's some materials that you could use in case you wanted to, clear anything out. But this is the sort of stopping point, or you can push on traveling through the night to hopefully get to that Thrum of the Three Spines late in the night.
I look to Kalis. Kalis seems to be the one who's most sensitive about camping overnight outside.
Is there anyone else here camping?
Not early in the afternoon. Someone might come by a little later, but currently it's really empty.
Are there actually like things that people have built and then left behind, like lean-tos and stuff like that? Or? Yeah,
there's a couple. They're not really, everybody just camps for a night. So none of these are very permanent structures, but you can see the remains of a lean-to. You can see a tarp someone must have accidentally left, or maybe it's ripped for just giving yourself a little shelter up against the rock wall. There's a couple creatures nearby, but they seem to be mostly kind of herbivorous creatures that don't seem to be very interested in you. So there's some, six-legged, kind of leathery skinned creatures with big watery eyes that are just munching some plant life nearby, but they don't even really register you.
Those the hairless kind of gallon?
The hairless gallon, exactly.
Grandpa Iron says, let's rest, and we'll get to the. No, I forgot.
The Thrum of the Three Spines.
Not in the middle of the night, but maybe in the middle of the day tomorrow. The sun is high and hope is at its zenith.
Ooh, lovely, excellent.
Grandpa Poet.
Or Iron Poet.
Iron Poet. Excellent. What do you do for just put up a tent, or how do you arrange for the night? And do you do anything, as you're messing around, you don't see that anyone's really coming yet, at least not while you're doing whatever preparation. No one's coming by.
I will pull together a fire, collect some wood for a fire later, actually, since it's still, not too far into the day yet today, and maybe build up some of these abandoned lean-tos so it's they're actually kind of nice in order to make a better shelter than we would normally have in the middle of nowhere.
Excellent. Yeah, so you're doing that. Chem, what are you doing?
I'm going to help Grandpa Iron and just make sure that Alera's doing okay. Excellent.
Yeah, Alera's having a seat. She's looking better by the minute. Her electricity that seemed to be kind of disrupted when she was taken by Bodrov seems to have, you can see her fussing with it and using her abilities and checking that everything's working again. And so she seems to have mostly shaken off the effect. And how about you, Kalis? What are you up to?
I'm going to just nothing. I'm going to just sit and wait. And hope we have a safe evening.
Excellent. So just as the sun is not quite setting yet, but it's getting dimmer, the light is starting to dim a little bit. You notice that you've got this pretty nice setup, a couple lean-tos, a good fire going. It's comfortable, homey. You're able to have some rations that I think you bought back in that first village, and that stone wall that you're camped up against starts to illuminate a little bit. There's a thin line of some kind of Numenera device that's giving off a little gentle blue light, but it's very crisp and it's gentle, but it really illuminates the whole area, and you can see that it kind of covers this whole clearing area. Then seems to be, it must be easier to defend this way. And so it's built into the rocks and the synth behind it themselves. So it's quite easy to keep on guard and see what you're dealing with. And so, let me know if there's anything else you're doing. Otherwise, the night comes.
Well, I'll take a walk.
There's more fire to be gathered. Firewood. Excellent.
Yeah. Maybe go check out those herbivorous beasts you talked about with the weepy eyes.
Excellent. Grandpa Iron and Chem, what are you up to?
I'm ready to sleep, so I'm just waiting for all of us to get back, and then we'll pick watches.
Yeah, I'm tending the fire. Spent all this time collecting wood. I gotta put it to some good use.
Okay, excellent. So I think maybe Alera is. You are all theater folk, right?
Sorta.
Yeah, to differing degrees.
And watched the theater.
But Alera was like pyrotechnics, right? So Alera might be, I think, as you're all recovering from the the stresses of your last day, you're telling stories by the fire, and Alera is using her awesome lightning abilities to put on a little light show. And it's very, you feel really well rested. And maybe that's how those new abilities that you used are really sinking in, and you really feel competent in your new effort and stuff. Let's see. GM intrusion to Kalis. Would you like to accept it? I'm not going to tell you what this one is yet. Or would you like to spend an XP?
I always accept them. Bring it on.
Excellent. Chem and Grandpa Iron, you hear a squealing howl happen out in the woods while Kalis is out gathering firewood. What do you do?
Does it sound like Kalis?
No.
Okay.
Those hairless Gallon that are nearby, they look up and they look really fearful, and you see that there's sort of a skittering away from that noise.
I look at Chem and I say, I guess we better, and I say, I'm going to check that out.
Excellent.
And trudge on with my heavy iron feet tread into the woods.
Excellent. You come upon, as you're, yeah.
I have a glow. I pull out a glow globe from my pack if it's dark.
Perfect, to illuminate your way. The trees get pretty thick here, and so there are. We lost Sean, but he'll come back. All right. I'm gonna swap your faces a little bit, and
Ooh.
Okay. So you are, and Chem, you are staying, to watch over Kalis, or what are you doing? Chem? Oh, I don't hear him.
I don't hear.
Do not have sound
we can't
for
hear you. I'm going to take one moment and get your faces.
I'm going to sit in the camp.
Okay.
There's back.
You're back.
Okay, cool. So, Grandpa Iron, as you're clumping in, why don't you make me a quick initiative roll, as there is something here.
All right. That will be an 11.
An 11. All right. Da, da, da. So an 11 lets you see this creature before you before it sees you. You do not come across Kalis, but you see what seems to be a little piece of like synth and metal that is maybe hip height high, but it is I'm not sure if you would know this, so I'll let you maybe roll to know it, but it is a piece of metal that has some sort of crustacean-like shelly carapace-carrying creature within it, and it is brandishing these claws at you, and it's making all sorts of chittery noises, and it is sort of like running at you, so you get to see it before you act.
If it's running at me, I don't care really what it is. I will just we lost Shem again. I'm going to grab my axe and grab it and try and take it to town.
All right, show us how it's done, Grandpa Iron. Give me that attack roll.
All right. Since I just applied, I increased my effort skill. I'm going to apply 2 levels of effort for the first time in an actual clutch situation.
Wow.
And try and break its shell with my axe. Oh, I have no XP left, so I only roll a 3. So not a 1.
It is not a 1, but it is not the level 3 that you sort of get a sense of how badly you missed by, and it's a level 3, and so you sort of I think do you have any training?
I apply 2 levels of effort.
Oh, sorry, my bad. You totally hit it. It's the benefit of effort. Awesome. Cool. So tell me how that looks. You start to, it was an unlucky roll, but you pushed through. So maybe it.
My effort, just even though I looked like I, was, I just put my muscles, my metal muscles into it.
Beautiful. With a great creak, you strike.
Oh yes, and that's 7 points of damage with my additional point of damage and my great axe.
Beautiful. This thing is quite armored. It's hard to get enough of the beast inside to catch it, but 7 points of damage does quite a bit of work on it. It is not happy. So you sort of take off one of its right side of its big claw and one little food claw as well. So this thing,
take that, you beast.
This thing chitters very noisily and it starts to back away. You see it fussing with something up on its back, getting some of its back legs to sort of adjust the piece of metal on its back, and you see that piece of metal start to illuminate as an ability comes up. So this is one of my favorite creatures. Hopefully we'll get Sean back here momentarily. This is a Calyptrian crab, and so it has a cipher on its back. And I get to throw a cipher at you, which is very fun. Yes. Could you roll me a d6, Bruce?
I could, and I will, and I did, and that's a 5.
Excellent. It's a 5. Okay, so let me see. Can you make me so it is basically activating something on its back and shooting out a mist at you. So do you want to give me a maybe speed roll to either get out of its way, or a might roll to resist its effects more constitutionally?
I will try and use my great might to just resist it, since I'm only half organic anyway. And I will apply what the hell? 2 more levels of effort to this roll. Reduce the difficulty by 2, and I roll a 2, so I only get I doubt I'll make this one unless it's only level 2.
It is not. It is a level 7 poison pacification. So the victim lays down for 1 minute with eyes closed when told to do so once, though. So I don't think it can tell you what to do. So I think you just feel that you are very influenceable right now, but it is not effective. But it doesn't say when that goes away. So is it that if you get told...
Grandpa Iron starts talking to himself.
Okay, whatever you do, don't lie down. Remember.
Excellent. You have that feeling, but that was its action. So it looks a little baffled at you and starts looking very confused that it didn't seem to disaffect you, and so it seems to be stepping further away. Are you going to let it skitter off into the night, or are you going to try to take it down?
Just spat some sort of Numenera gas at Grandpa Iron. He's not going to let that stand. Come after it with his
aggression
axe.
Cannot stand. Okay.
Get back here, you varmint,
he says, and he's just going to roll. He's going to use 1 level of effort this time.
Excellent. To hit.
Yeah, and I actually roll a natural 17.
Oh wow, great! So
I'll just deal 1 additional point of damage with that 17. So 8 points of damage. Hopefully, help penetrate that armor a little bit.
So 8 points of damage will. Let me see. That will take this thing down. The extra damage, even through its armor, you land a really precise, beautiful blow with that 17. So this is a big sword, or what's your weapon look like?
It's a great axe. It's probably made of synth and metal and stuff, but it's huge, right? I mean, bigger than.
Cool. Excellent. With this 17, I think you come down on the creature and you hear it give a bad squeak, and the piece of synth and accumulated ciphers that have been secreted and accreted onto this thing, you feel it split perfectly, and the little fleshy bit of the creature is sort of is destroyed in the process, but there are materials and potentially even ciphers that you think are still intact. You didn't just smash it to bits. You kind of precisely separated it from its synthy, ciphery carapace. So that's kind of exciting.
Is there? You say there's actually an organic crab thing in there as well that I smashed into?
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm also going to grab that because I made a fire and I'd like to have a little something.
It looks delicious.
To roast over it.
It looks delicious.
Excellent.
Crab for supper.
And no Kalis inside here. Just
no Kalis.
All right. Well, that's lucky.
God. So you hold up a glow globe and you're kind of looking around, and as you've destroyed this thing, and there's still no sign of Kalis. It's only been a few minutes of this little brief battle, but you can see that there's some footsteps that Kalis had made, and sort of a scuffle where this thing must have come from. So Kalis maybe ran away from this creature, or there's some kind of scuffle here. So what are you going to do? Are you going to keep calling or looking for Kalis, or?
I'm going to grab up the ciphers I know to be ciphers, and like that little bit of meat, I'll put that, I'll just keep an eye. I don't want to put that in my pocket or anything like that. Let's grab up ciphers and follow these steps, and I will be yelling out,
Kalis! Kalis!
Excellent. After searching and searching, you're making a lot of noise. There is, you see that there are creatures in this forest, but after your battle, you see a couple other little eyes of these crab-like creatures that seem to be scuttling back up into the trees away from you as you're carrying the scent of killing one of its kin. And you, after a few minutes of searching, you eventually come upon Kalis. So Kalis, where do you end up? Where were you hiding? Or did you?
Comes upon Kalis?
I think so. Yeah. After you're looking. Kalis must have found a really good hiding spot. And so it takes a while as you're searching. But
okay. Yeah. Well, then I'm probably just like, there's a bunch of trees and stuff around, right?
Yep.
You just kind of like a nice safe spot between a couple of trees, and I'm just kind of hunkered down there. There's probably there's probably some like creature blood and fur and stuff around where I'm hiding.
Okay.
You found her.
I say,
there's lots of creatures in these woods. We should get back to the fire.
Yes, you're right. It's dangerous out here.
And Grandpa Iron, says,
"Oh, looks like you had a little fight of your own."
Well, I was just using that to ward off the scent of the creatures that were hunting me.
Grandpa Iron just kind of nods his head, obviously looking. Like,
all right. Well, I found some ciphers back here on this big crab thing. I'll show you.
We should take them over to Brainiac and see if he can identify what they are.
Oh, good idea.
So, yeah.
Excellent. You come back upon the camp. Everything's calmed down a lot. That comforting blue light is now illuminating everything. Brainiac is asleep. All right.
Well, he's a mechanical nano, and he was having Wi-Fi problems, and connection problems. So that's what you would do, is you just go to sleep, right?
Excellent. All right. So if you get
wake up, Jim.
Oh yeah.
Oh, fish. What happened?
And
weird dream. Hey,
display the Calyptian crab booty before you, and say,
"What we got here?"
Oh, I have an XP from that gym intrusion, and I will give that to Grandpa Iron for coming out into the woods and making sure I was okay.
Excellent.
Thank you.
I'll examine these, what I assume are ciphers that Grandpa Iron brought back.
Excellent. Why don't you make me a Numenera roll? Oh, well, so
Sadly,
you have
Fire just grabbed all the wrong stuff.
I was thinking it'd be funny if it was like, these are rocks, Grandpa Iron.
These are very nice rocks, Grandpa Iron.
This is a blade of grass. This is an old potato.
Oh my gosh.
All right. I'm going to be fancy and apply 2 levels of effort.
Wow. Very good.
I can.
Yeah.
And I am specialized in the Numenera.
Yeah.
And I roll a 16, so that's a total of 4 steps in my favor.
Yeah, that's quite good. And the identification difficulty of some pretty basic ciphers are only going to be like level 2. So you would have figured out any basic stuff, but the good stuff. Looking for the good stuff here. You find a let's see. So there are Anoetic ciphers, right? Which I'm probably pronouncing wrong because I read books instead of talking. Thank you. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then there's occultic.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And the occultic ones are the harder to use ones. They are more difficult to use. And they take up 2 cipher slots, but they tend to be pretty powerful. So you actually find one of those. It is a repair unit. You get to roll a d10 to give it the level. But it is a device that becomes a multi-armed sphere that floats. It repairs one designated Numenera device of a level equal to or less than its own that has been damaged but not destroyed. It can even create some spare parts that if they aren't too rare. So it is a really powerful thing. I'm imagining that you maybe have seen these once when you were training to be an Aeon priest. This is a super valuable type of Numenera, and maybe you haven't seen something quite like this, but it bears just enough resemblance. And with your tinkering, with your excellent tinkering and very, very big brain, you're able to figure out what it does. So what's the level? D10.
Or D10?
Yep.
1.
It's so great, though. It will really, really, really repair the level 1 Numenera that you break. So, hey, good. You get an extra use out of something. Cool. And you find an oddity, which, let's see, which are, great for trading and great for little goofy things. So let me give you an oddity. And then, the Clipdrain crab. Are you, is anyone cooking up that meat? Did you swing by and get that, Grandpa Iron?
Oh yeah. We got the Clipdian crab meat, and as Chum's going over this repair unit and talking about how great it is, I'm filleting the crab and putting it on spits.
Excellent. Chem, the oddity that you sort of pick, like basically this crab had been creating little bits of fluid cement to stick different things onto its carapace, and so you're able to strike off an octagon-shaped amulet that is black during the day and sky blue at night. It's kind of cool. It's very pretty. It's it will fetch a nice. It would be nice to trade just because of how pretty it is, oddity aside. So that's lovely.
So
right.
With that Anoetic cipher,
yeah,
that occultic cipher, it puts me over my limit. So I need to hand off one of my ciphers to somebody else. Are either of you below your limit right now?
No. But I'll take one.
Well, the one that I was going to offer up is actually a sound dampener, which is really good at concealing noises.
I already can't hear anything.
I was thinking maybe you could use that if you need to sneak somewhere.
Maybe I look at Kalis actually, because that sounds something that's more up her alley.
Well, I agree, and I would happily take it, but. I don't know. Perhaps you haven't noticed, Grandpa, but you are the loudest of us.
Oh, fair enough. All right.
He will take, which does put him over. But
maybe Chem could help, tighten up some of those parts that are a little loose and rattling.
Is there any oil from the crab that we could use? Just kind of
ooh.
I don't know if I want any crab oil smeared on me.
It's very good for your pores, Grandpa Iron, okay?
Sounds unsanitary.
All right. Grandpa Iron's put his foot down, but he is taking that cipher, right? Cool. All right.
Level 3 sound dampener.
Nice. So the night after that brief kerfluffle, all is much quieter. It's kind of peaceful. It's a lovely star-filled night, and there's that blue light illuminating you overnight. And when morning comes, so who is over their cipher limit? Because we gotta roll that fun stuff. Just Grandpa Iron or Kalis too?
No, I gave my extra.
Right.
And if you want to give that back, I don't care.
Well, for now, I will hold on to it, but maybe I'll decide differently.
Give me that percentile roll, my friend.
Percentile? All right, hold on. Sorry, there's a loud dog behind me.
Cipher danger table.
Oh, that's not going to help.
It's better than the stranger danger table.
That's in the Jade Colossus. Kind of.
Yeah, don't roll on any tables in there. All right, this is a 52.
Ooh. Tragically. Well, let me check. You're close. Do I get to... It's a 52?
Yes.
You get to... Okay, a thing happens. There's an odd smell, a tingling sensation or aura around the ciphers. So this is probably a good thing for chat if they have any good ideas. But something is a little funny when you wake up. So chat, hit me up with some ideas for what could be not mechanically different with the ciphers, but aesthetically different. So you wake up and something's a little odd, but you're able to break camp. Nothing really goes too wrong. So maybe, and possibly Grandpa Iron, how's your sense of smell these days? It's very good. I don't really know what the iron situation is.
Everything always smells, the same thing to him.
So Chem, Alera, and Kalis can tell that something's not right with Grandpa Iron. Coming from his bag. So, ooh, that's a good one from Zoa. The ciphers look bigger, but they feel normal sized. So everything's sticking out of your bag a little more better, but you don't feel any difference. So that's good.
What's going on here?
Do they look different to us too?
Yes, they do. So you can tell that your bag's sticking out a little more. And if you go take a look, the colors seem to be shifting a little bit. So nothing, every couple minutes.
And I hold it to Chem and I go,
What's going on with this cipher?
Well, Grandpa Iron, you seem to be over your limit. The Numenera is interacting in strange ways, and you don't know about the Numenera, do you? The spirits of your ciphers are fighting.
I have an inability in the Numenera.
So they're fighting each other. They're kind of like swelling up to look more.
Right, well, I'll take this one I have, and all right. Well, I don't like the sound of that, so I'm going to take this teleport trap that I guess I'm holding and say,
anyone want this?
You have a teleport trap?
Yeah, but he doesn't remember what it does, so as far as he's concerned, it's just a weird Numenera.
Aw.
He doesn't remember what it does.
That's delightful. Is anyone taking it off him, or we...
I would be over my limit if I carry anything.
I'm not afraid.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm not afraid to be over my limit, but I would need someone to explain to me what it does.
Yeah, I can examine it.
Yeah, I'm not going to ask you to roll or anything. You've been traveling with it. You keep tabs on everyone's ciphers.
Okay. And I've got, I'm specialized in the Numenera.
Right. Yeah, you've seen this before. You instantly know what it does. So the teleportation trap, is that what it is?
I guess so. I only have teleport trap written down on my character sheet, I'm afraid.
This is why cards are helpful. Sorry, guys. Cool. Well, we can look the specifics up, but based on what it sounds like it does, you willing to take it, Kalis?
Sure.
All right. So Kalis is over her limit, but you guys are going to be fine for today. So you head north, continuing north a little bit east, and you're heading toward where the thrum of the three spines were headed, and you should be able to reach there kind of by about midday. And so you're going and you're going, and you see occasionally more of these calyptrian crabs, and you're seeing some kind of some more open plains, some opener plains. That's what you really want. And there's some herd animals moving around that are, you occasionally see big running lithe animals, and you see occasional structures in the distance, and you can see that there's some homesteads, but no real villages, until you start coming upon a really, really well-worn path. And there's even some little rocky paths nearby, some gardens, some little homes, and you come upon a pretty good-sized village. Definitely not a city, but it's got, maybe there's maybe 100 people could live here. There's a couple of houses and definitely a lot more space. There's a couple places that look like they, as you come upon the main square, look like they could be housing travelers and visitors. And you can see just beyond it. So the path sort of brings you straight through the middle of this little town. And as you keep looking in the distance, there are 3 enormous metal bars that sort of weave in between each other and stick up maybe 3 stories in the air, and they are glinting off of the sun, these 3 big metal arches that all intercross, and they come to a sharp point at the top. And so you don't know anything about the thrumming right now, but you can definitely see these 3, what must be the 3 spines you're looking for in the little town that's built up around it. So I think that might be where we cut it, as there's there must be a caravan here in this town. There's tons of people around. There's lots of people trading and sharing stories and drinking and sort of carousing while they're sort of safe from the dangers of the Ninth World around them. And lots of pilgrims with the Order of Truth symbol worn somewhere. So lots of Calaval friendlies here. So sound like a good place to stop?
Sure.
Excellent. And we will pick this up again in 2 weeks. So we will see how these people do with their newfound goal of, like, we have a plan for how to get out of these wrist bracelets, travel along the path of Calaval for right now until we find people or things to help us destroy these with their fancy metal death cipher. So this will be really exciting. We'll get to see Shanna again, hopefully then, if she's a little recovered. And but if you are liking this session so far and Numenera and our live streams, you should definitely tune in on Friday to see our live show of The Raven Wants What You Have. So we've been doing this Invisible Sun actual play that we've been airing on Fridays at 7 p.m. Pacific. And we will be, every third session, we get the cast on to talk about it and to take your questions and to ask me about my ghost girlfriend, we've now seen on screen theoretically. So we're very excited for that. So if you would like to interact with us a lot and hear about how people role play or character choices they made, that's a great time to come in for The Raven Wants What You Have this Friday at 7 p.m. Again, this show, Echoes Linger, will pick up again in 2 weeks on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Pacific. And you can catch a third actual play, which we recently added to the lineup, which is The Owl of Lycia, which is run by Marcy Vellon, and has a whole, non-MCG crew, which is really cool, just other Cypher fans. And this is not Numenera nor Invisible Sun, but a custom Cypher system setting that's on the high seas and has ships and its own cool cultures and beings that you'll definitely want to go meet. So that happens Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific. And we've got lots of other cool events coming up. So the best way to keep in touch with this, whether actual plays or, panels, discussions, is to follow us on Twitch, which we would love. There's a little follow button up at the top, and that'll notify you of cool new stuff we're doing, and to follow us on YouTube for when the videos go up afterwards. So, and we are working on getting a podcast feed for those of you who podcast. So we heard what you want, and we're going to try to get it to you. So keep talking to us about what you like and what you don't like, and follow us at all the places. How do you guys feel? Any other news or Numenera omens for our friends here?
I survived another night. It's always a good night.
How about you, Grandpa Iron? Glad you still have your iron hand that hasn't been melted off today?
Oh, yes, very much so. And, looking forward to talking to these benevolent aliens. He's kind of fixated on that.
Excellent. And what about you, Chem? How are you feeling?
Chem is glad that he's yet again proved he is one of the smartest people in the Ninth World and deserves a nap now and then.
Perfect. All right, pick up with this cast. Yeah.
I think that you should be required every time you talk about using the metal death, you have to throw the horns, though.
Perfect. All right. We'll see you all next week. Thanks so much, chat, for coming. And we will see you again later.
Thanks, Darcy.
Thanks.
Thanks, Darcy.